Okay. Hello. And welcome to I'm Not Trying to Kill You. I am your GM Ash for today. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I have with me four amazing magical girls. I would love it if we could go through and do our who are we, what are our pronouns, what do we do, and also give us an introduction to your character. Emily, as is the tradition of our people, you're up first.
The tradition of our people. Awesome. Hi, I'm Emily. My pronouns are she, hers. I am an artist and a filmmaker. Sometimes I make art for games. Sometimes I make art of characters who are being played in games. And also, I am playing Cert in this one, who is a sort of moody, sad loner type character, but also the captain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's accurate.
So the captain,
Moody, sad,
in other
loner,
words.
Yes.
and also in charge.
And also in charge, yes.
Yep. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm Andrew. My pronouns are they, them. I sometimes design games and often play games, and my characters are a pair. They're called Hrist and Romer, and they are the harmony, so they turn into one person when they get all magical and stuff.
Yeah. Melody.
Hello, I'm Melody, she, her pronouns. I do lots of role-playing game stuff of various descriptions. My character is Adna, who is the young cadet who's meant to be kind of the ideal creation of this society. Meant to be perfect and pure, and is probably going to be heartbroken in short course.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And Luke.
Hello, I am Luke. By day, I am a professional GM for children. By night, I often write role-playing games and sometimes play them. So I am the inverse of Andrew. My character is Swift, and she is a time traveler from a long, distant past in which everything was not bad because none of y'all had fucked it up yet.
Cool. Yeah, it's pretty fucked now. Yeah, so do we want to go over what happened last time? Does anyone want to give us a recap for the audience's sake? Does anyone feel like they can do that?
Well, it's all Swift's fault, so I feel like Luke should do the recap.
That's legitimately true.
That sounds great.
Everything is Luke's fault. It's Swift's fault. So
Oh dear. Okay, so parts of this are going to be a bit sketchier than others. We did a downtime. Some things happened? Question mark.
Yep.
There were weird ghost moths. That definitely happened.
Yep, that did happen.
Someone did. Kristen Rama did like hard labor repairing a wall, or a street, or something.
Yeah,
I-
like community service.
I
Yeah.
think I started a long-term project. Some shit happened in downtime. Moving on. We decided, because everything was seemed especially haunted outside the city, that we should venture outside the city on a weird Surt-led expedition to try and appease some angry ghosts at an ancient battlefield or something. Anyway, we went to do that. Our journey was going very well. I had a lovely conversation with the ghost of a dead deer. But everyone else didn't believe my new friend about where we should go to talk to the spirits. So now we're going to some dumb shrine instead.
It's a fantastic recap.
Yeah.
And not biased at all.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh gosh. Right. So, I think last time we saw, we were in the middle of a town that had been long destroyed by the war, and we were in a middle of a cobbled street with trees and bushes growing up between the cobbles and moss everywhere. Lots of good vines. And I think we were looking at what had once been a temple or a church or similar, that had the front taken off. The front was all fallen down or broken, destroyed in some way. And as is the tradition now, is it the tradition of the people that were the people of the Bastion, or were they Surt's people? Like, whose town is this?
This was an enemy town. It was
Yeah,
the-
right.
I
it was
think
the town of sorts people.
Yeah,
think
right.
it
So
was.
sort we see like the traditional layout of like a temple in your culture, where there are multiple like different. There are pews arranged in all four directions around a central like speaking platform podium. I think there's probably a weird class structure thing there. Because like some people would be in front of them, but where you would have had a person stand and deliver like the message of the gods and all those sorts of things, there is now a menhir, a big stone rock, that from out here we can see like the sunlight is like going in through the broken tiles on the roof, and we can see it like reflecting off of many little words inscribed all over this thing. It's covered in text engraved into it, and I think we can see that like sparkling on the granite in the dappled light. I think in the distance there's probably birdsong and the sound of like things moving through the underbrush.
So, just to clarify, this is not the kind of thing that would normally be in this space.
Not in
Like-
that menhir is
Is-
an,
Incongruous.
yeah.
Okay.
I feel like it's an improvement.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think for Swift, I think it's very on brand. It's like, sacred space. It's got a manor in it. I know what's going on.
Adna
Yeah.
is kind of awed because this is like nothing like what she would have imagined.
mean,
She's
have
like
you-
looking around at things, impressed, amazed.
Have you like ever been outside the city, like outside of the context of like, oh yes, we do like a quick patrol around the wall, like outside the city before?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah,
This is a big dramatic like excursion for you.
the
then.
first
Wow.
trip into the wider world.
Yeah. So do you want to like talk to us a little bit about like what is there any other decoration in this church then that like would be noticeable?
That would be like distinctive of.
Yeah, just anything like is there anything like that you think should be in there?
So we've got so there's a something in the middle usually, and then these
Yeah,
kind of
like
like
a race platform. Yeah.
four sort of wings, I guess. Let me think. What else would there be? I like the idea of there being on like I think there's a kind of a four cardinal directions thing where like there are meant to be specific things on those kind of four wings. Like one of them is a space where you would wash. And like I think maybe another one is like a space where a sacred fire like is kept burning, or lights or candles or something. And then like I'm trying to think what would be the other two.
But like a graveyard for Earth, right? Like where,
Mm.
like a door that leads
Yeah.
out beyond into where people are buried.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So maybe actually, maybe that's even the entrance. Like, that's maybe you walk through, like
Yeah.
the graveyard, or like,
Or maybe you walk in through air, and there'd be like incense to like begin the ritual. I don't know.
that's nice too.
You tell me. You are.
I don't feel like it actually quite. I kind of want it to not quite line up with those four elements. Like
Yeah,
I
no,
like
totally,
the idea of it
totally.
being like water and fire and earth and something totally
Wood.
like, wood is nice.
Blood.
Yeah.
Silence. I'm just gonna
Or
suggest
like
nouns
metal.
until
Yes, right,
we
or like
find something good.
Yeah, exactly.
beeswax.
Actually, yeah, I like
Earthquakes.
the idea, because if we establish that, like, past cultures, and in particular, like, the culture of certain people were fairly nature aligned, and that's one
Yeah.
of the things that's been lost. So I
I
think,
mean, mine certainly was as an antecedent.
okay.
And I think the
So I
thing
think-
is that they took different paths of their approach to nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then one of them just was like abandoned theirs in an attempt to win.
Right.
Become militarily powerful.
Yeah, okay. So I think actually the you walk in through the graveyard or similar, like you have to walk past the dead in order to get to the temple. And I think the fourth direction actually is supposed to be kind of open, like there is meant to be one side of the temple that is kind of open to the forest or whatever is there, so that you are kind of allowing the outside world to invade the space to some degree. And I think there's this thing where like they will, to a certain degree, kind of let vines and things grow in. And it's still sort of curated, but it's meant to look kind of wild. So actually, I think coming into this space is weird because the front of it has been has fallen down, is ruined. So the open bit is on like totally the wrong side.
Yeah, that's really cool. And like the brazier that once had the sacred fire, it now has like a bird's nest in it and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the water is like just like choked with some kind of like big like spreading like water like based plants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lotuses or something.
Around you can hear things moving in the underbrush and like through the buildings, and I think you hear like something ceramic like fall and break in a nearby house in the street.
That seems weird. I'm really curious to know what kind of, at least outwardly, what kind of reaction Swift has to the space. And you mentioned like Swift coming in and seeing the miniature and being like, oh yes, like that is what it would look like. Which I imagine she doesn't say quite that, but
Yeah,
I think I'm watching you to see like how do you respond to this.
I feel like there's like a lot here that's familiar, but also as many things that like are foreign, right? Like it's that dislocating sensation of like going back to a part of town that you spent a lot of time in as a child, like a decade later, and everything is kind of the same, but also enough things are different that you can get lost. Like it's that sensation. So like, right, like fire. Yeah, totally, right? Like the water thing, totally. And there's like an elaborate ritual that probably was passed down from her people to yours that like is how that works. But like the graveyard is totally just like weird because her people don't bury people. That's not how they dispose of corpses. And so it's like that's just like what the fuck.
Yeah, I'm having a feeling, by the way, about like the difference between the nature worship, and I feel like the side that became the bastion was less about like, like nature as we would call it, with like plants and animals and things, and more about sea and sky and like stone and like and like these raw elements,
like the environment.
Yeah, like elemental forces are them.
Yeah,
like,
so I get the idea that like
things that you can
a continuation.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's a continuation of like the part of Swift's culture that like would do like sky burials and things like that.
Yeah, no, exactly.
What
Yeah,
were
so
you gonna say, Andrew?
Oh yeah, Andrew.
What were you
Andrew,
gonna say?
You had.
Oh, just I like the idea that the Bastion chose to, honor most that which they could build giant forts out of, and like all of these things that could feed into kind of almost like an industrial revolution.
Yeah.
But still looked at it, it's like, oh yeah, this is us. Like it's about the natural world that you can shape and control.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like almost doing that as a sacred act.
Yeah, exactly. Right? We're honoring the stone by cutting it free of the mountain and making cool thing.
Yeah, right. It starts
out of
with
it, yeah.
it starts with putting like making piles of stones on top of other stones, and ends with giant robots that kill people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
carrying a portal into another dimension. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Natural.
so I think Swift just looks like pensive and sad and very, very like remote and far away.
Yeah.
And I think she may be like even almost like below her breath, so it's like it barely audible. Starts humming some like ancient, like sacred tune of her people, but like the time echo effect is like totally like happening, so that there's this like second ghostly voice, a little bit like lower, just like accompanying it.
Right. Yeah.
And
Cool.
I think she just like in like just this like slow graceful movement just like drops down into like a kneeling position, and just like kind of like loses track of the outside world and starts like listening to like the spiritual like
Cool.
landscape around, because
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that's what
I
she's
think-
interested in.
I think, in a way that doesn't interrupt what you're doing, I think Search makes sort of a point of, like through body language and things like that, of giving you, like letting you get close to the sort of the menhir, and like giving you kind of space to like look and study and listen. And so he's very much behaving like oh yes, obviously, like you're hearing something here. I'm gonna let you do that thing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like watching you and waiting to sort of say like, what do you hear? But he doesn't want to do it while you're trying to listen to something.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What do I
Yeah,
need
and
to
so
do
yeah,
here?
sorry.
Oh, I mean, just Adna's like asking, what do we need to do here? This is the place, right? This
That's a
place
very
is
good
kind of
question.
scary. We should do what we need to do and get out.
Yeah, it doesn't look quite like I expected, but, and I'm sort of talking in like a hushed tone. I'm like, but I think Swift is seeing something, hearing something. Maybe let's just sit a minute and try and work out what's going on here.
Okay. She seems a bit uncertain. It's kind of like looking around nervously.
Kristen Rama, I think
what's up?
you probably have noticed at this point that there is a layer, or you keep noticing dead bugs landing, like falling onto this sarcophagus. You just
Yeah,
can
and
see,
we're
like every time a
brushing
bug,
away.
yeah, every time a bug flies over it, it just seems to fall dead.
That's probably
It's
normal.
fine.
And yeah, I think Chris at the back is like, is that supposed to happen with the, and like holds up one of them, and Rama turns back like, shh, it's fine. Yeah, there's this weird little exchange, in the background, and they just like, yeah, Chris is just continually like brushing away the
Mhm.
dead bugs, like looking at the cold, impassive face of the statue. Let's see. I think Romer probably has the sense to look up.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I think you probably noticed that there is a pretty heavy like up because it's a bit clearer here where the town was, and the tree layer isn't as thick. At the like layer of the canopy, sorry, there's a pretty thick layer of insects just like flying around.
Just kind of, yeah, like buzzing, like clouds of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Are any of them white moths by just some
I mean,
strange
you're looking up against the blue
happenstance?
sky, right? Like they're all
That's fair.
silhouetted.
That's fair.
But I think at least one of the things that has fallen on the Withering of Serga is definitely a white moth.
Yeah, and so maybe like Chris like picks it up and is like holding it, and, like looking at it, being like, "What about this one?" If anyone wants to look over and see it, this ominous
Yeah.
symbol, you're more than welcome to do so.
Yeah, definitely.
And I
Yeah.
think it's probably like the two of them bickering that calls your attention. Like, I think this one's pretty. Oh no, it's horrible. Get it off of the thing. Like, maybe it's an omen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Grave moths definitely have like coloring on their wings that like is vaguely reminiscent of a skull, right? Like it's two
Yeah,
two dots
absolutely.
and like yeah.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
fucking death's head moths from Silence of the Lambs or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so yes, I think I noticed that, and sort of come over and like kind of look at it in your hand, and I think like I sort of nod and I'm like, it would make sense that they would be here,
Who's they?
the moths.
Are you friends with the
They-
moths?
No, but they like to be in places for the dead.
That's where he's been spending all his time, with the moths, not with us. I don't understand. So the two of them just like continue like they just kind of bicker and like they just natter, really, like is
Yeah.
the best way to describe it. Like
Well,
they're just always talking nonsense.
Yeah, and like we like hear this nattering like fade out into like mumble as we like go over to like Swift doing whatever they're doing. You're muted.
Thank you. Yes, I was muted. Yes, that is indeed yes. Yeah. So like, Swift is doing a thing, a traditional type thing. I don't know exactly what it was called in her culture. I'll come up with some suitably like pretentious ritual name. It was called something like plucking life's web or something, right? But basically, she's like still humming, but it's now like a droning, like throat singing type, like constant sound. And it's two-toned, and because then of like the ghost echo, it's like a four-tone, really discordant, like weird noise.
Awesome.
And she's got her eyes closed, and she's just like kneeling there, like just in the entrance of the church. And I feel like on the inside of her eyelids, right? Like she's seeing like just light. This like web of like the connections between things and the spirits of those things, and like in the air it is very much reminiscent of like a giant spider web strung between these things, and in the ground like below it is very reminiscent of like the way that like roots kind of like join together under a forest and like interlink with each other. And she's just like shifting like the tones up and down and like plucking this web to just like see how it responds and what is going on here, and also as like a gentle like announcement of her presence to anything that like has a memory of this and is willing to listen.
That's really cool. I like that.
What action do you think you're taking?
It's a good fucking question. Yeah, let's put some mechanics to that. Let's just stop just describing poetic bullshit. God, good question. I think it's analyze.
No, it's not. It's not that.
Search bending beyond the surface presentation of the world and discover secrets.
Yeah. Is it
No,
not that?
analyze as a word, I don't think is. I don't know, Andrew.
Actually, yeah,
like weigh in on this, but I don't think you can call it analyze, but I'm going to make it more difficult, right? If this is analyze, you're not going about it in the right way.
yeah. Well, it's tricky because I feel like the thing that would the only thing that would make more sense to me than that is empathize, but like I can't empathize with the natural world because there is a move for that and I don't have it.
Possibly confess.
Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah,
my brain
actually,
was saying
confess.
perceive, express, or flow, right? Like,
Perceive feels good here if we're thinking
That's
like
what I was
you are
thinking.
trusting with the information this is giving you, right?
Yeah.
That you're not this thing that you're interfacing with. You're not trying to second guess it. You're just taking it in. I feel like
Yeah.
it could be good. And if we're talking about
Yeah.
your character having this perception that extends beyond what is normal to most people, that's all fine. But
Yeah.
Perceive
I know
is
it's not
what
your
it
best
feels like to me, but
dive
if you want to do
pool,
analyze,
but-
that's fine.
Yeah. I
Um,
feel like it's okay. So let's like okay. It's not defy. We're
certainly
just gonna
not.
totally right. It's not defy. It's not forgive. It's not conceal. It's not empathize. It can't be empathize because I don't have that move. I don't. It's not expressed because there's no agenda to it.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think
I feel like it's maybe it's either like confess, perceive, or flow.
Yeah. So the thing about the analyze versus perceive for me, and
Yeah.
this is the question that we have to ask about Blade's likes in general.
Yeah.
Is-
Yeah. Where does the distinction lie?
Is the word the primary thing and the description to help you,
Yeah.
Or-
Or is the description
or
what's
is
more
the
important than
description
the word?
the actual thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I would be interested to know what Andrew feels, but I definitely was assuming that the description was the main thing.
I mean, I feel like we get to arbitrate this, and that the feel of it can matter in some circumstances. I think it's like fair to make that stance as long as we both, that both parties agree that
Yeah.
that seems
Yeah.
fair and reasonable.
Yeah.
So
And I
yeah, I would
suppose-
say whatever consensus the two of you come to is going to be the right answer here.
So my question,
Yeah.
Luke,
Yeah.
I think, is when you chose analyze, did you intend for it as,
Yeah.
as a character choice to
Yeah.
be about the mystical or about the intellectual?
I
And Ash
mean,
brings up the important question, right? Of like, you ultimately, Luke, it's your decision. You're like, I'm rolling,
Yeah.
and she just tells you how hard.
what that means.
Yeah,
be,
my
right?
my
I'm-
interpretation of analyze is intellectual, but
Yeah. So to be fair, I didn't choose it. It is it's one of the starting dots
Right.
for the time traveler. But at the same time, the XP prompt that goes along with it is prophecy. And so I think that is a
then
pretty strong.
I think that's
like,
legitimate for your character situation.
yeah, I think it's a strong indication from Andrew that like in this instance, it is like a mystical kind of like
Yeah.
lens through which to view that.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's fair then. I think
yeah,
I will let you
so-
use analyze then because it makes sense for your character.
Yep, cool. All right, so I'm doing an analyze. I
The risk here, so the position,
Yep.
I think it's risky. I don't think it's.
I don't
no,
think
it's
it's controlled. Oh, okay.
No, it's risky. It's risky. No.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't think-
Yeah,
I
'cause
think
we're
in-
out in the wilds.
yeah.
It can't not be risky.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
If this was the world I had known, it would totally
Yeah.
be controlled, but it's not. The
Does
world is
anyone
fucked up.
remember what our engagement roll was?
It was bad. It was very bad. It was
Yeah.
desperate.
All right. In which case, then this is risky because it doesn't get
Yep.
left.
Yep. Totally.
Potential
And-
outcome standard feels right
Yeah. No, that's
because
that's
you're the
fair.
time traveler.
Yeah. Do I want to push myself? I am at 6 stress. I do actually. You know what? Before I make that decision, I am going to spend a social link to reduce some of my stress,
Cool.
Fine choice.
and then I will decide what to do. And how do we? Is it fortune is the easiest way to do that, or?
Yeah, because you
For
can
which?
roll a
Yeah.
number of
Yeah.
dice equal to your remaining links with whoever you're
Yes,
spending a
yes.
link with.
Link.
Which link is this?
This is my link
Yeah.
with Cunning Harmony overcomes adversity.
Oh, so your
My engine.
stick is helping you.
Yeah, my stick is helping me. Let me scroll all the way down.
Well,
I
while
got
they're
a
on-
2.
While we're on the topic of mechanics and bookkeeping, we
Yeah.
have an unspent crew advance as well.
We do.
My bookkeeping is
That's
telling me, which
right.
could give you an extra dot in analyze. Which is why I bring it up. If we take Academy trained, I can't remember if I thought we
It-
might have been leaning towards that one, which
We
is
wa-
plus
we
one
were-
to one of perceive,
Yeah.
flow, or analyze.
I did have another thought, which was that the Shrine Keepers one from Starlit Kingdom, for like given the context, could be really cool.
I feel like maybe if this goes well, we could take that.
Yeah, as a future. Well, like even just like back in our like weird temple thing, right? Like that's also kind
Okay.
of shrine.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
a fan of Academy trained.
all right, let's go with Academy trained then.
Okay, cool.
What is?
In which case, I am
But-
putting a dot into... What are the options again?
Your options are perceive, analyze, and flow. And I will be putting a dot in perceive.
You know what? I'm going to put a dot in
Maybe.
flow. So all my resistance rolls are now, like, decent. Good job, me. But yes, a 2 on the clear stress, Andrew. That's clear 1 stress?
Yes.
Yep, cool.
It's
All right,
1, 2, or 3 stress.
cool. I tick down... Yeah, fuck it. It's important that this goes well. I am going to spend 2 stress to push myself. I am now at 7 stress.
Cool.
Good job, me.
Do you want to ask some questions?
Let me make the roll first, and then I will...
Oh yeah, sorry, I got confused with the.
Yep. No worries.
Yeah. Let's see how you do.
Hey, that's not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad.
That's all right. That's all right. Could be a lot worse.
So, do you have a question that you want to ask from your list?
Yeah. Let me have a look.
I find that the gather information stuff in Blades likes a bit tricky. I'm always like, do I give you more questions for more goodness, or do I just give you more information for one question?
Yeah,
I
the
think either or, depending.
depth versus
is
breadth.
my feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's something I agree that when I was emceeing Blades, I was kind of like, yeah, okay, so how do I decide how much to spill here?
And
I think-
and like in Blades specifically, like it's not like a clock, right? Like you choose the position and an outcome, right? Like you're choosing that before you make the roll, and that feels weird to me. But
So some of the advice in Blades around gather info and like is that it can also just be a fortune roll.
yeah, right.
Or that they're always controlled, is how I've seen some people doing them and stuff like that. For my part, I liked to sometimes make them have risks associated with them, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes put them at risky when the stakes were high and it mattered. And then,
Yeah.
as with all things in role-playing games, I found that usually my instinct was to not give enough information, and that I needed to like be like, I want to say this much, so I'm going to say a little bit more, and I'm going to
Yeah.
give them a
Yeah.
follow-up question or whatever.
Yeah, especially
So-
like this game's a bit more story game. Like Blades and these, like you have to do the lean on the story game thing where you don't hide secrets. You just have to
Yeah.
be like blah and let the players not metagame. And
Yeah, trust them
use
to
their-
engage with some dramatic irony,
Yeah, exactly.
which I know you can trust all of us to do. So,
Yeah, exactly.
Andrew, there is a question on my list that has a little slash diagonal slash thingy. Does that mean I have to pick one, or can I ask both?
I believe that it is an X or an exclusive or.
Darn. Which one do I want? Which
See,
one of these is
because here's
more
the thing, Luke,
helpful?
having everything is not as interesting as being
That's
forced
true.
to choose.
That's true.
This is what I will say. I also need to remember that I'm on a headset mic and I can't back away from my mic and yell the way I normally could. So I'm sorry if I'm over.
What really happens here?
Cool.
Yeah.
You're plucking at all of these strings, and they just like as soon as you shift into this mode, you can see that there's this hole in the fucking web. Right in the
God.
center, like someone just dropped a big stone through a spider web.
That broke the spider web? Yeah, great. Fucking awesome. Excellent.
Like a
Right,
a
and
meteor,
like,
perhaps.
and
Yeah.
none of the living things here, none of the living things here go near the stone. They avoid it.
Yeah.
It's all and like it's shiny. It's almost like dust doesn't fall on it.
This doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's this like this whole scene has
Yeah.
like that thing in the middle is an aberration, right? Like,
Yeah. It doesn't belong.
it's like from the surface until you start doing this, you're like, hey, that looks like the appropriate thing, but
Yeah.
it's not.
No.
There's something very wrong about it.
I
What comes to mind for me is the whole thing where if you have like sufficiently strong electromagnet kind of thing going on, like it messes with stuff, it'll cause trees to grow around it, or like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a giant spiritual electromagnet.
Yeah.
I feel like as this is going on, Adna's doing that. She's kind of like scouting around, investigating, and she doesn't know any of this stuff. So she's like standing right near the Menhir, doing that thing where you're like reaching out, saying you're not going to touch it, but you're just like, there's a thing here. I'm like,
You're like, I might touch it.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
God. Ash, do I get a follow-up question and or a second question?
Yeah.
Which of those?
You can have a second question that can be a follow up if you like.
Bum, 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 bum.
Yeah, my basic feeling so far is like when you roll gather information, I give you 1, 2, or 3 answers. That's
Yeah,
kind of how I've been doing
that
it.
that makes a lot of sense.
that is
What
a
do
good
I-
guideline that I might just steal, Ash. Thank you.
What do I remember
It
about
seems pretty
stones like
obvious.
this?
What do you remember about?
Yeah, like obviously the outward appearance of this stone is very much like ones that my people had. But it's got weird runes on it, which I don't think ours had, and it's spiritually bad. Like, is this a thing I have ever seen or heard of before? Like, is this some weird god weapon bullshit? Is this some weird spirit haunting bullshit? Is this some weapon of the Bastion? Like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah, what do you remember about it?
What do I remember about this thing?
You remember it being made differently. Like, this is
okay.
too perfect, too well crafted. Like, it's rotationally symmetrical apart from the words on it.
No good.
It's not, kind of hewn from the earth in a like your people, if they made this kind of menhir thing, would kind of go into like a working state, right, and let themselves like hew the stone
moving
this...
meditation.
Yeah, exactly, right. So it would be rough. It would have like sections that were imperfect. This is too perfect.
This is engineered. Yeah.
Yep. The writing that is engraved in it is like almost like a typeface, right?
Ugh.
Like I'm in my head, it's Times New Roman, right?
Oh, I don't like that. It's bad.
Yeah.
Mass produced.
Not mass produced. Artisanally crafted by like someone who, by
Perfectionists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or someone
Can
who
I
didn't understand what it was supposed to be like.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah. Can I see the runes in like from the Life's Web like place? Can I see the runes? Do they glow?
I think.
Or are
from
they
the
just
li-
like
No,
in
they're like if you're in Life's Web mode, the whole surface of it is dull.
it's just a black hole? Yeah. Right.
Yeah, it's matte and dull. Adna,
Yeah.
you can read this text perfectly. It's in our language.
Oh, cool. Okay, what does it say?
It's names. It's just lots and lots of names that are similar to swords.
Huh. It's names.
Okay.
Someone's written
They did a
names on
genocide,
it.
but they did a memorial too,
But
so
they were sorry.
it evens out.
Yeah.
And, to be clear, from last episode, all the moths that were at the graves, that was all Cert's people as well. Those were the bodies that were like brought there to stand in memorial for like all of their
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. So I think Swift does just let out this like disgusted sigh, and shake her head. Like she's not stood up or opened her eyes. She just is like very obviously displeased.
As soon as you sort of make that sound, I like kind of step over from where I was standing with Kristen Rama and like kind of lean down a bit or like kneel down next to you, I think. And I'm like, what is it? What are you hearing?
Not hearing, seeing. And not seeing, but not seeing. This thing broke the web.
What web?
And she really, right? Because like this is a very familiar experience in a lot of ways. Because like there would normally be like a priestly attendant, a shrine maiden or something to like ask these questions and like help interpret the vision. And and so Swift is like, yes, everything is as it should be. What web? Oh, right.
Oh wait,
No,
I have
we're
to
not.
explain things.
We're not in the past or in the future. I have to explain basic
Yeah.
child concepts to a grown adult. Oh, fine. And so again, she sighs and she's like, I don't know how much of this your people remembered. The world is alive, yes?
Yes,
All things have spirit in them.
of course.
Yeah, and she's nodding like, yes, this is good. All life calls to life. All spirit calls to spirit. All these things are connected. If you know how to look, you can see the lines that tie them together, the great web.
That makes sense.
That, and she like points at the men here, that ripped through it.
Right. So it's not connected?
It's not connected, and anything that was connected through that space, those bonds are torn.
Is it talking to you?
No. It's not alive. Because they made it wrong.
Let me try something. And I, yeah,
Yeah,
when
I nod, and I'm like, I don't touch it. It's like,
I give you like a significant look that's very much like, I'm gonna touch it.
fine.
But yeah, I think that's really interesting because when you explain like everything is alive, right? Everything like has a spirit. Like Siren
That's
is very
very
much like,
literally
yes,
true to you?
obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
totally.
Like, yes, obviously this makes perfect sense. And when you explain the web thing, he's like, yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, I know we're doing lots of like, I'm gonna mysteriously hover near this object and ask questions about it, but I feel like I really would like to try and do the
Oh, don't worry.
thing.
We're back here being like, what are they doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let them work.
Look, this is the world that we created when we chose Haunted by Ghosts and Demons.
It's true,
We
did.
signed up for this.
And I think
very true.
Ramer like walks up and is just like, Anna, get away from this. Just don't. Like they're just like protecting you. Like there's
Yeah.
Yeah.
probably dangerous.
And I
She-
think Swift hears this and only at that point becomes like aware that that bundle of life force is Adna, and kind of like gives the two of you like a thumbs up, like you're good decision.
Yes.
Adam's a bit surprised when you like grab her and move away because she's actually been eavesdropping. Like when she heard they were talking, she's stopped paying attention in the near and is like, "What are they saying? What's this about spirits and webs?"
And yeah, with the two of them, the person are just like, oh, and they're probably wrong. They don't really know what they're talking about. They're just imagining things. Well, I thought Surt actually
so
talked to things.
strange.
Oh, shut up.
Although I think actually, one thing that I sort of, noticing like everyone kind of moving Adna away, like before I walk over and put my hand on the stone, I turn to Adna and be like, it's a good idea to keep some distance, but can you keep an eye on me? And if anything goes strange, pull me out of there, all right?
Yes, sir.
And like I'm specifically directing that at Adna, being like, please cover me
Will do.
with your like strong protectoriness.
With your muscly arms.
This is time to employ the things that we trained for.
Yeah,
etc.
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, because the two of you did a training montage together.
Yeah, we get like a flashback to your cute training montage.
Yeah. Exactly.
Love it.
All right. So I have a move for this. I have a move, which is things feel. You can empathize with non-human things as if they were people, which is very fascinating here because Swift saying like it's not alive, it hasn't got life, it's not a person is like really fascinating because I don't feel like I've encountered a thing that isn't alive.
That doesn't have personhood.
Yeah, she draws distinctions
Yeah.
that you don't, even though her rhetoric was that everything is alive and everything has spirit.
Yeah.
But then not that, and you're like, oh, but also that, though.
Yeah. So I'm sort of like,
like this.
can it really not be alive? Is
that
that really
possible?
possible? Yeah, so I'm going to attempt that. I'm not actually very good at empathize. I wonder if I can. I mean, unsurprisingly.
I believe it does specifically say empathize. I think
Yeah,
we
it
had
does.
this.
That's
we
why
did
it's
this last time.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if I can help myself here in some way. How much stress have I got? I'm at
Do you have
5.
social links you could use?
Yes.
Well, more importantly, do any of us have social links that we could
Right.
use?
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah.
give-
Because you use them to help someone.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because yes, I have some, but it doesn't work that way.
I mean,
does it?
none of us do because Suret's the stranger and can't take the social.
Oh
link action.
yeah, of course. You can't possibly have them. Okay.
Devil's bargain. If you get everyone else to leave, I will give you an extra dice.
No, I think actually,
It's a good one.
it is a really good one.
You're
But
good.
yeah, no, because that would be in this case, like directly counter to my what I'm working on with my promises.
Yep.
Alternate Devil's
I need
bargain.
Adna and I need Swift to both be here and witnessing stuff. So
Alternate
I will
Devils. Alternate
oh
dark.
yeah,
bargain.
yeah.
Like whatever you like whatever you see or like feel or whatever from this thing, like part of its like last bastion, like cultural imperialism, rewriting histories, like shit will get in you and you'll lose some of your like memory of your people, or like the way you remember your people will get weirdly blurred up with like the
Like
way
it's
the
kind
last
of
bastion
contagious.
remembers them. Yeah, it's contagious.
That's really good.
Ugh.
Andrew looks distressed. I am proud.
I have a promise that's about not letting Surt's story get changed. you
Yeah.
jerk.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this isn't me saying it as Swift.
Yeah. No.
Ooh, that's like, yeah, it's a thing that my character would hate, and therefore I'm very tempted to do it.
Story games, everyone.
Yeah, right. So what would I've got to remember mechanics now. If I go with that, I get an extra die. Is that how
Plus
it
one die.
works? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take it. I feel like narratively we've set up for that in that Swift has said like, don't touch it, like it's contagious, and I've been like, no, I need to. I feel like narratively we've kind of walked into that one, so I'm.
There's this thing that happens
Yeah.
with Devil's Bargains to me, where I want to offer like additional consequences for failure, right? So if you succeed, that's not a thing, right?
Okay.
What the Devil's Bargain is, that is an additional consequence for failure.
If I fail. Okay,
That's
I like
the thing that I find myself doing as a GM.
Okay.
I don't know how other people
I
feel
like
about
that.
that.
So, like, if
mean-
if I do this right and speak to it correctly, it won't necessarily
Yeah.
infect me, or
I
not
mean,
in
isn't that explicitly though like against the John's
That
design
does,
intention?
that does
Like,
seem like it's against John's
It's-
design.
it-
Exactly.
yeah, like my
Yeah,
intention, my memory is that a devil's bargain is something that will come to pass regardless,
regardless.
Yeah.
of success
Okay.
or failure and
it's
cannot
not
be resisted.
tied to success
Yeah.
or failure.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
I
I
like
guess
the
I'm-
idea that it just happens. I think that's way nastier and more
Okay.
horrible.
Yeah.
So
It is.
Yeah, like touching the stone is bad. Full stop.
Yeah.
Regardless of like the success or failure of what's going on, you touched the stone and that was a mistake.
I guess, yeah, I would love to have sort of a sense of like the scope of that kind of thing. Like if we're talking, you will forget your entire like ancestral
No.
history,
No.
or if
No.
we're talking like you'll
Like certainly my intention was like weirdly blurry and
Yeah.
productive of future like angst
yeah. Cool.
over now having
I
it all
like it.
muddled up, right? Because I
Yeah,
think that's
cool.
more interesting.
Yeah, I agree. All right,
You've got
let's go with
colonial
that.
memories as well as indigenous ones,
Yeah.
and it's fucked up.
Yeah, I love it. That's cool. I mean, it's not cool, but it is cool. Okay, so empathize.
This is
What
risky.
do I put for my risky? Okay, cool. And
it
effect.
sounds like risky standard.
Okay. And I can add a die. Will I be able to add a die?
You
Yes,
get one
bonus dice,
yeah.
1. Okay. Oh.
Good job.
It's
You
a
did
3.
it.
It's
you
a
did
3.
it.
No.
Damn it.
Oh.
The the stone salutes you and orders you to fall in line, and you do.
Okay.
Resist the consequence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I would
Go
love
for
to
it.
resist that. So then it's the question of how.
Yeah.
I mean, panic or social pressure, right? It's
Yeah,
clear.
that seems
Yeah.
like the right one. Yeah.
Which is your
Exactly.
strong suit because
Exactly.
you're
I
the
was
stranger.
gonna say, like, this is that's a thing that I'm
Good job, team.
used to. I'm
That's
used
a
to
phrase
that
he has heard
pressure.
before. Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
I am absolutely used to that feeling.
Yeah. You're
So-
told-
Didn't you
like,
get
yeah,
plus
you're told to
one
fall in.
die on those resistances too?
Uh,
As part of your your basic stranger move?
No, my
The stranger move
basic
lets you
one is-
always roll that for obligation.
Yeah, obligation.
And
You're
you
right.
start with 2 dots in that category. So you always start with area.
Okay, so this is as though I were doing my obligation stuff, really. Mechanically.
Similar. I mean, in terms of
So it
what's
feels
happening,
like
yeah,
it,
this
yeah.
feels very similar. The same bullshit.
All right.
Yeah.
So Kudere, I just roll
Yep.
the base one. Okay. Yeah. And it doesn't matter what the position and things are in this, does it? 'Cause
Correct.
that's not how this
No.
works. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Just gotta remember that. Oh god damn it. Okay. 3 again. Yeah, this is not going well.
De-stress.
So you take 3 stress.
Okay.
Oh god.
Yeah.
What
but
is,
on the plus side, you don't do what the
Yeah, the
thing
bad
says,
thing doesn't
right?
happen.
Like it gets in
Yeah.
you a bit, like it affects you that like rigid sense, and like yeah, this was. I think you know at least that this was. This has a military bastion origin.
Okay. I'm on 8 stress, by the way.
Oh.
It's very nearly an eclipse.
8's a good number.
Okay, so I know this was made by.
Yeah, like
There.
as soon as you like touch it, you hear the sound
Yeah.
of like boots marching and
soldiers'
like
boots and stuff.
Yep.
yeah, and like
Cool. Well, yeah.
and like the taste of or the feel of brass as a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually very useful information anyway. Like, it doesn't give
Yeah.
me direction, but it does tell me how I feel about this thing. And yeah, in this case, yeah. So I think I like, at least seemingly sort of from what other people are observing, I like put my hand on it like momentarily, and
like
then
it's a
like
hot
throw my
hand
hand
and
away.
just-
Yeah, like I just
Yeah.
take my hand away and kind of like, yeah, make a face like I've tasted something really gross. And I like
Swift,
turn around,
Swift just sighs.
turn to Swift. Yeah, no, I immediately turn to Swift and I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's not right.
Do we need to do something about this?
Yes, how can we, your noble friends, protect you? Our fearless leader. And we do like a mock salute, which then is like gross.
Oh yeah, it's
echoes
really. Yeah, exactly.
It's like the perfect image of the military salute that it was just telling you to do. We
Yeah.
perfect synchronization do.
Yeah, and I get this sort of like kind of upset look and kind of like shake my head at nothing.
Oh, he didn't like that. He's
He doesn't like anything.
yeah, exactly. That's just his thing. Not
That's
frowning.
just what he looks like. Yeah, so I think
Resting scowl face.
yeah, exactly. Resting Kudere face. I think I feel like this needs to not be here. Like I think having done this and we're all kind of standing looking at it, and now I look at the space again and it doesn't just seem unexpected, it seems very wrong. Like it seems like a thing that should not be here. And a very like deep perversion of what is supposed to be here. I think I walk over to where Hrist and Rama are and like pick up the dead moth, or a dead moth off of the the coffin, and sort of like hold it up to the light, and I say, I gesture to the stone, and I'm like, I think this is the thing the spirits are upset about.
Oh,
It
well.
is.
We could move that, no problem. Certainly, it's just a little stone, and it's like how tall is this? Like 8 feet tall stone
Yeah,
thing?
it's like
At
yeah,
least
it's
twice their height. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just both like, yes, don't worry about it. We can take care of it. Us, with a little help from Adna, no problem.
It's smaller than that giant golden coin.
She's right.
I look to Swift, and I'm like, and I guess I sort of explain my thoughts, but as I'm explaining it to you, there's very much a sense of like, I am conferring with your experience to sort of like
Yeah.
confirming that we're having the same thing. So I'm like, it is a grave marker, but it is not made by my people. It is made by the Bastion. It is made wrong. They don't like it.
I think Swift is really uncertain, right? Because like, and what Swift says to you is, I don't know if it needs to be removed or it needs to be fixed.
How would we fix it? I am not familiar with this style. This is not even something that my people would have made in my memory, in my parents' memory. Is this something?
My people did.
Okay. So if the Bastion made this to commemorate those who died, why would they make something so old?
And
Why
I
not-
think she laughs and she's like, probably because like they've misremembered their own history
Well, the only
as
stuff we
as
have,
like the primitive traces of your people. Yeah.
Yeah.
we don't have history. We don't have your history. We just have the last time our peoples were one people, where they would have done this, and so all of our
Right,
stuff,
yeah.
we kind of amalgamate. I'm sure Swift's culture with
And-
like we just have
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Got it,
that's what
yeah.
you think that Swords
Yeah.
people are like.
Yeah.
we
I
assume
think-
that time stopped for you guys and that we did our thing.
We advanced.
Of course. Of course. Yes.
That seems
Ugh.
properly colonial of us.
Yeah, that's so gross. I love it.
And so
I
meanwhile,
think. Oh, sorry, no.
Chris and Rama are walking over to it, and they're just talking like, "Oh yeah, many hands make light work. Oh, it's just gonna be like pulling a bad tooth or something. It'll be." Or like, kind of like sussing it out and like looking at like the doorway, like, will it fit out the door? It's kind of like if people are trying to move a couch. There's kind of one of these conversations going on.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. We'll have to pivot there to get it past that corner. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like,
they're
I
like
trying to
turning
work
it.
out if you can get it out the giant broken wall. It's like
Well, and that's what. Yeah, exactly. That's why it's so silly, right?
And I sort of like put a hand out toward you, and I'm like, oh, and I think Swift is right. I think we should try not to touch it with our hands.
Yeah, so I think Swift stands up and like opens her eyes, having still been down there this whole time, and goes over to I can't remember, Andrew, what's her name? The your weird swamp witch lady that we brought.
yeah.
in.
Person with
Oh.
us.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, yeah, OCH. She's hanging out.
Yeah.
she hasn't
Yes.
come inside.
She
Yeah,
knows
no,
better.
totally. And so I think I step out of the building to go and talk to Ok, and ask her, like, because obviously, like within Surt's memory, this wasn't a thing, but like that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not
Yeah, she might know.
that it's not like an archaic thing. Like what I want to know is like how recently did it stop being a thing for these people, and like to my imagining, and like anyone feel free to tell me that I'm wrong, but to my imagining, like even like if we flash back 100 years ago to before everything got all fucked up, like there were still like some like ancient like Stonehenge type sites where like the relics of my people were kept preserved,
Yeah.
right? Like, where like our idols and shit like were still just like hanging around all like ancient and decrepit. And so like I also want to get a sense of like what Ok says her people's position on those were,
Right.
because I feel like that informs the question of, do we just need to make this like a
Different.
sacred, not bad version of itself, or do we just need to fucking move it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you go up to Orc, and I think she is.
I'll go with you, by the way.
She is uncovering something, and she looks up at you just as she like uncovers a skull, like that's been like covered by something and was that hadn't been like picked up, right? And it's pretty obvious it's a child's skull, and we can see like and I think we can see like a pretty clear like bullet or bolt like piercing through the head, like execution style. And she like looks up and then like looks towards towards the like the men here and is like, how she's like and is like, how are you doing with this insult?
Great.
Have you made any progress? Have you learned things about this mysterious place and the crimes that were committed here?
Is she talking to me or Swift? Or Sword?
No, she's talking to you, Swift.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she's being sassy as fuck.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah. No, I got that, Ash. I got that.
She's one of those grannies who's just like, oh yeah, no, we're gonna go do this other thing, and then she like takes you somewhere and is just like, see, this is why you're bad and shouldn't pee in the rug.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Like this whole thing was probably just so that she could take us here and guilt trip us.
Yeah.
yeah. And Swift is like, I'm learning all too fast these days, I fear.
She's like, you're not meant for this place.
I'm not meant for any place. Not anymore.
She looks at Adna and like she like glances over towards Adna and Kirsten Rama and is like, they should be dealing with this. This is theirs.
I think I speak up and I'm like, oh, we are unfortunately all displaced. None of us are where we're supposed to be. We just have to make the best of it.
I should be at home making tea.
We'll get you back there as soon as we can.
Does it need... It's been too long and there's too much I don't remember. For my people, I would just fix it. Is that... removal? Fix it? And I name like a particularly like large and prominent sacred site of my people that I am fairly confident like
She will know about.
in a Stonehenge like fashion has like endured through the ages like down into the present day. And I'm like I name the place and I'm like, is it a sacred place? Is it a place of taboo? Is it... help me understand.
She's like, have you not seen the mockery of it within the bastion itself? These stones are the way of and like gestures towards like Adna and Mr. Ramos. These stones are the way of their people, not ours. They've abandoned them, as they abandoned everything.
They're a perversion of the way of mine. If I fix it, if I make it what it should be, is that insult further? Is that a solution, or does it simply need to be removed?
She's like, it is poisoning the shrine. We
Make it
must
stop?
like, if we are to appease the spirits, we must be able to address them in the shrine without it there.
We move it then.
Yep. All right. Cool.
I mean, like, the obvious thing here is that like stone worship is not a part of Surt's culture, right?
Yeah.
So then we're indicating that it was when the kind of like cultural separation happened very, very long ago.
That was something the Bastion
was
took.
something that they took, but we didn't take. Yep.
Because it's
Got it.
forces, right? Like Bastion is forces, and then Surt's culture is more about like connected life, community sort of stuff.
And like ephemeral things, right? Like it's like fire and like water and like plant, like all these things that move and ebb and flow and live and die. Whereas like stone, the
Yeah.
sky,
Howling
the
wind.
sea, things that just like
Yeah.
fucking stay where they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Cool. All right, I'm sad. Yeah,
Okay.
let's fucking. I think Swift just looks at Sword and is like, "Yep, move it."
Okay. So we'll go back into where Kristen, Rama, and Adna are all kind of like. Are you all sort of like
Oh, yeah.
studying it, trying to like work out how we would move
Poking with
this?
sticks.
Kind of like, poking it with a stick to see how it might
Yeah,
be
if it'll like
leveraged.
tilt or whatever.
Yeah.
One of I think like Romer looks like they're getting ready to dance, like they're stretching and doing some like warm ups, like
Yep.
Doing some
Yeah.
like ballet
plies and stuff. Yeah, like
exercises,
they're doing like a ballet warm up, but then they're gonna move this giant rock.
I think I
metal
like
as hell.
I like put out a hand and like place it on the coffin. On the I never remember this name.
The withering,
Withering of
Sergon.
Sergon.
Withering. Yeah. Place it on the coffin and I sort of say to Kristen Rama, but like looking at it. I'm glad you brought our friend here. It feels very appropriate.
Well, we thought he would like it. Yeah, the dead things and all. Isn't that what he likes?
I think it's possible if we try to move this, there may be some resistance
Interference?
from something, but I don't know what to expect. So let's
We should be
be
ready.
prepared.
Oh, we'll crack open the old goat if we need him, but for now, it's fine. Let him rest. He's tired. He's very sleepy, you know. And
All that withering.
So- I'm gonna do a thing here, which is I have this move where when I'm transcended and I lead group actions, I get to just like
We
amalgamate
all
everyone
just like
into a person.
Yeah.
become giant. Yeah,
Awesome.
Well, I don't have the one where I become giant, Luke. To be clear,
that's
But,
true. That's true.
Do you
I'm
want to
real
do
good.
that after a break? Do we want to like?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
take a
yeah,
break.
Yeah,
I would like to
I,
do something.
I feel like as Tristan Rama like like stretch and warm up and like
Mhm.
do their yoga to like get ready. Yeah.
Cool. All right. We'll be back. We'll be back in a minute. We'll have a cup of tea and then we'll be back.